Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another tutorial for you using minimal shades but using new products, and I am going to use the Ciate Glitter Storm eyeshadow palette. I was able to pick this up on clearance and I was able to use my 20% off Rouge code. So I got this thing for like 25 bucks and I'm putting it to use today. I've used it a couple of times. It's got 3 glitter shades. It's got 6 mattes. So if you are interested in this palette, now's the time to hop on that before it sells out because it is on sale for $30. And then the packaging is, of course, awesome. You've probably seen this before. So I'm going to use 3 shades out of this palette. I'm going to use one of the Marc Jacobs See-Quins. This is in the shade Glamethyst, which is the purple. So if you're interested to see how I came up with this look, simple, easy, and super holiday friendly, then just keep on watching. I'm going to start off using my eyeshadow primer. It is the Fenty Pro Filt'r primer. And this is a tackier base, so just keep in mind that some shadows work really great with this one and some get a little bit patchy and streaky. Next up, I am going to take my Ciate Glitter Storm eyeshadow palette and I'm going to go in with the shade Comet, and using a blending brush, I'm just going to start working that into the crease. I always build it up to my desired intensity. It just depends on what you like for your crease. You can build it up, you can go light, it's just whatever floats your boat. Next up, I'm going in with one of the Marc Jacobs See-Quins eyeshadows. It's in the shade Glamethyst and it's the purple shade. It is so beautiful. I love putting this to use. It's very easy to work with and it just shows up so nicely for that party, sparkly type of look. I find using my finger is the best way to apply this. I mean, using a brush, it can be very frustrating. It can take a lot of layering. Just using your finger works quick and easy, and then here in just a bit we'll use a brush to get into those little areas that need a little bit more detail. So now I'm going in with a second layer just because I want to build up that intensity, that color, and that sparkle. This stuff layers really, really easily. There is a little bit of fallout associated with these shadows though, so keep that in mind. That is why I did my foundation after I did my eyes. So here I'm just taking a brush and sweeping off that glitter that has fallen onto my cheeks, to my face. Now I'm going to take the little detailing brush and just go in with the littlest bit of shadow. Again, it doesn't work as well with a brush, but when you need to work into these little detail areas, it is fine. Next, I'm going to go in back into my Ciate Glitter Storm palette and go in with the shade Stargazer. And I'm going to use this on the outer portion of the lid to deepen it up. Now, I do wish I would have gone in with a little bit of a deeper shade because New Year's Eve does call for a little bit more smoky. But I was trying to limit my look to this eyeshadow palette and the Marc Jacobs See-Quins shadow. So this is what I went with, as it's the darkest shade in the palette. Next up, I'm going in with my Anastasia glitter adhesive and just gonna, it's almost like a nail polish, it's so weird. I'm just gonna go into like the inner fourth, maybe just right past the fourth of the lid, and just gonna take a smaller brush and I'm gonna go in with the glitter shade called Strike. It's kind of like it's hard to describe, it's like a silvery mauve type shade, I don't know, silvery gray perhaps. So we're going to go ahead and work this on top of the glitter adhesive. And you can, again, layer this to how you like. I went in to this glitter shadow once and it gave me the perfect application, the perfect amount of glitter that I was looking for. So that is just the one layer. Next up, I'm going to go in with another detail brush, go back in with my Marc Jacobs See-Quins shadow, and what I'm really just going to do is kind of layer this a little bit over that glitter shade, over the Strike shade, just so that there's not like a harsh line. It is a little bit more blended and it just kind of looks like it fades into the glitter. And I do this anytime I'm layering shades like this. It just makes for a more seamless look. Taking like a pencil brush or any kind of brush for your lower lash line, go ahead and go in with the shade Stargazer, or at least that's what I'm going to do. You don't have to use this exact shade, but a darker shade on the lower lash line, again, to smoke it out because that's what you're going for New Year's Eve. Next up, taking some MAC Fix Plus, just spraying a small detail brush and going back into the shade Strike so that we can get some of that into our inner corner. That's really just going to make this look pop. Now, I have a horrible habit of rubbing my eyes sometimes, and then I rub that inner corner shade right off. But you just have to remember, don't rub your eye for the night, and this is just going to look so good. Next up, I'm taking my Fenty Fly Liner and just lining my upper lash line. We are going to add falsies, but this is really just, again, to deepen up the look, help it look a little bit smokier, a little bit edgier. I am not going to wing it out today. I'm going to go in with a black pencil liner. This was, I think this is the LA Girl pencil. It is just in a black shade. I do still find that I like the Essence ones better as far as staying on my lash line, but this is still a pretty good one. Just going into my waterline, again, just deepening this up, smoking it out. And then just going in with some mascara. Any mascara will do. Obviously, mine's a little trial size. I'm trying to knock out all my trial sizes, get use out of them, but really just enough to coat your lashes because you're going to put on some falsies once you've done this. All right, so as it turns out, there's more glitter on my face, which you can never have too much sparkle, but I'm going to go ahead and sweep that off just because I'm ready for a clean canvas for when it's time for foundation. So trying to get some of that off my face. It's time for brows, and as you know, if you're used to my tutorials, I really don't do this on camera. I'll just kind of start this off and then take it off camera. Brows are pretty boring and just kind of run-of-the-mill, nothing super exciting. Now I'm putting on my falsies. I kind of use a whole just slew of them. I buy just a variety, and I think these were the Kiss Pompadour lashes. I think that's what I was using at the time. But any lash will do, honestly. More dramatic would have been better. So go for those full-on dramatic lashes. Next, I am using the Carrez Greek Yogurt Primer Smoothie something something. I love this primer in the wintertime because it is so moisturizing. It makes my skin feel so good, and it smells amazing. One of my faves, and I'm almost out. I will repurchase once it's out. I'm going to use my Diorskin Forever foundation. I'm in the shade 20, I think it's like light beige or something like that, but it's 020. And I'm trying to finish out this foundation, so putting it to use. One pump is sufficient for my full face, and I like to dot it around my face instead of go in with the brush. I find that anytime I do that, I end up using more product if I go in with like directly dip my brush into the product. So I'm using a brush today as opposed to a beauty sponge. Beauty sponge is my favorite way to apply foundation, but they were dirty. So using a brush for today. And It Cosmetics makes great foundation brushes. Next up, using the Too Faced Born This Way. This is the, what is it called? The Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I am in the shade Natural Beige. This is pretty much my favorite concealer of all time. And then the best concealer brush of all time, if you're not going to use a beauty sponge, is by Tarte. And it's one of these little paddle brushes. I don't even remember if it has a name, but I did purchase it at Sephora, and I love how this one blends in my concealer. And gonna go in with the other eye as well. Now, the only thing I don't like about using a brush when doing my concealer is that then you can kind of see the line where the concealer lays on top of the foundation. So right here you're seeing, I take my foundation brush and I blend those two together. With a beauty sponge, you don't tend to notice it because you're already blending that concealer into your foundation, but with a brush it's a little different. Next, I made the mistake of not showing the powder on camera, but you guys know which one I'm using. It's the Huda, is it like the Easy Bake powder? It is just so good. I am not a powder girl, and yet I love how this makes my skin look. I am in the shade Pound Cake. and it is the Easy Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder. And I don't go in with a lot. I set my under eyes and then I go in with the smallest amount on each area of my face. Next up, I'm going with the shade, I think it's called, it's Bronzed Amber by Becca. Now this is more of a highlight powder, but it's too deep for me as a highlight. So what I've been doing in order to get use out of it is I've been using it as a bronzer. And because it's got that kind of sheen, it gives you like a healthy type of glow. And I have found that that's the easiest way for me to put it to use. For my other light to light medium girls out there who are trying to figure out how to put that powder to use. Next up, it's time for the Natasha Denona Diamond and Blush Palette. I don't use this one near as often as I'd like, and so today I thought I am going full out. So just grabbing that middle blush, and I am just going to apply this to the cheeks. It is like a cream type of blush, which I'm typically not a cream blush type of person, but in this case it just works. I love how easily it applies, it builds, it's perfect, but it's Natasha Denona, so it should be. Next up, I am going in with the cream highlight because, as y'all know, I do use a cream base for my highlight. I have found that that just intensifies and amplifies the highlight, just takes it to the next level. So it's kind of nice that this palette is just a one-stop shop. Obviously, something has my attention. It was the dog. Next up, it's time for the real deal. So let's go ahead and go in with the powder. And I do the powder and then I do the diamond dust on top. So this is just basically layering, taking the cream, then taking the powder. This highlight is so intense. If you are a subtle highlight type of girl, then this is definitely not up your alley. But then I go in with the diamond dust and it just takes it to an even higher level. I just can't even. The first time that I used it, I think I was doing a tutorial as well, or Get Ready With Me, and I was blown away, and I think you can see it in my expression in that video. Next up, I am taking the Milani, a Milani liquid lipstick. I forget what it's called, but I'm going to mention it here in the outro shortly. Just putting that on my lips, and this is going to be pretty much the final touch. And here we go. This is the final look. All set for New Year's Eve, ready to sparkle, ready to glitz. Be safe, everybody, and Happy New Year. Bye. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of this tutorial. I hope you found it easy to follow. Just minimal shades is what I have been going with recently, and it's what I'm going to continue to do just because life is really hectic. I don't have the time, I know you don't have the time, but you still want to create some really glam looks, so simple and easy is the key. I also wanted to let you know that you saw me apply the Milani lipstick in the shade Adorable, and it's one of the Amore mattes. I did end up topping it after I stopped filming. I ended up topping it with the Bite Beauty French Press lip gloss in the shade Flat White because this one was so drying on my lips that it was starting to show every single lip line. It was very uncomfortable, so I ended up topping it with this. So that's why you see it a little bit of a different tone, because this one does change out the tone pretty much of anything you top it over. So I did top it with this just so that you know. And before I let you go, I need to give you the verse of the day. Today's comes from Colossians 3:23 and 24, and it says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." I know sometimes it can be such a drag to have to work, to have to go to work, but if you look at it in the aspect of that you're working for Jesus and not for man, it just makes it just a little bit easier and helps you give that much more of yourself. So guys, I hope again that you found this easy to follow, that you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. Couldn't get that word out. If you are new, and I will see you in the very next video. Take care, guys. Bye.